Hi everyone. It is a snowy morning. It's sunny, snowy morning in Santa Fe, wherever you are. I hope this finds you well and warm. I wanted to share another writer and educator who has very much both inspired and grounded me for many years. And I've tried to share as many as possible. I haven't read from this person's work before. And based on many of of things that you've written both in our class on the discussion threads, but also have communicated privately with me. It just seems very timely. And I was reading something this morning and I thought, it's time to break out the Parker Palmer. And indeed it is. So I wanted to share with you some of the words and ideas from Parker Palmer. And this is from his book, The Courage to Teach. We used to read this actually in our class. We kind of shifted to some texts that I love, the Esquith and Nieto text. But I don't know, it's time for a little Palmer, I think. So I wanted to read to you from how he begins this book called Teaching from Within. We teach who we are. And I do believe I'm diving in, but I do believe these ideas that are found within, whether one is a teacher in a school, whether one teaches in some other context, whether one teaches in another profession or career, just by virtue of what they do. It's been my experience that the wisdom of these ideas, I certainly have lived what he's talking about here, whether it was in teaching or writing or living or parenting or walking through this world. So, anyways, let's just go ahead and dive in. Teaching from within. We teach who we are. I am a teacher at heart. There are moments in the classroom when I can hardly hold the joy, when my students and I discover uncharted territory to explore, when the pathway out of a thicket opens before us, when our experience is illumined by the lightning life of the mind. Then teaching is the finest work I know. But at other moments in the classroom is so lifeless or painful or confused, and I am so powerless to do anything about it, that my claim to be a teacher seems a transparent sham. Then the enemy is everywhere, in those students from some alien planet, in that subject I thought I knew, and in the personal pathology that keeps me earning my living this way. What a fool I was to imagine that I had mastered this occult art, harder to divine than tea leaves and impossible for mortals to do even passably well. If you are a teacher who never has bad days, or who has them but does not care, this book is not for you. This book is for teachers and people who have good days and bad, and whose bad days bring suffering that comes only from something one loves. It is for teachers who refuse to harden their hearts because they love learners, learning, and the teaching life. When you love your work that much, and many teachers do, the only way to get out of trouble is to go deeper in. We must enter, not evade, the tangles of teaching so we can understand them better and negotiate them with more grace. Not only to guard our own spirits, but also to serve our students well. Those tangles have three important sources. The first two are commonplace, but the third and most fundamental is rarely given its due. First, the subjects we teach are as large and complex as life, so our knowledge of them is always flawed and partial. No matter how we devote ourselves to reading and research, teaching requires a command of content that always eludes our grasp. That's what I love about teaching, anyway. Second, the students we teach are larger than life and even more complex. To see them clearly and see them whole and respond to them wisely in the moment requires a fusion of Freud and Solomon that few of us achieve. If students and subjects accounted for all the complexities of teaching, our standard ways of coping would do. Keep up with our fields as best we can, learn enough techniques to stay ahead of the student psyche. But there is another reason for these complexities. We teach who we are. Teaching, like any truly human activity, emerges from one's inwardness, for better or worse. As I teach, I project the condition of my soul onto my students, my subject, and our way of being together. The entanglements I experience in the classroom are often no more or less than the convolutions of my own inner life. Viewed from this angle, teaching holds a mirror to the soul. If I am willing to look in that mirror and not run from what I see, I have a chance to gain self-knowledge, and knowing myself is as crucial to good teaching as knowing my students and subject. In fact, knowing my students and my subject depends heavily on self-knowledge. When I do not know myself, I cannot know who my students are. I will see them through a glass darkly in the shadows of my own unexamined life. And when I cannot see them clearly, I cannot teach them well. When I do not know myself, I cannot know my subject, not at the deepest levels of embodied personal meaning. I will know it only abstractly, from a distance, in congeries of concepts as far removed from the world as I am from personal truth. The work required to know thyself is neither selfish nor narcissistic. Whatever self-knowledge we attain as teachers will serve our students and our scholarship well. Good teaching requires self-knowledge. It is a secret hidden in plain sight. I have returned to these ideas again and again. I very much look forward to your thoughts, just to your thoughts on this and your own experiences. I wanted to share another piece of Parker Palmer's work called The Hidden Wholeness, The Journey Toward an Undivided Life. And I mentioned in the earlier video this week that one of the most sustaining realizations, I don't know, there's no way I would have made it without it. I don't know, however I want to articulate that. Realizations that I made is that I'm not, that we all have these different worlds that we inhabit in life, and for many years I thought those worlds were separate. I thought I had my teaching life, my writing life, my parenting life, my being a daughter life, all of these different roles that we play. I felt like somehow there was that it served them for there to be a separation. In my own experience, nothing could be farther from the truth. As soon as I realized, and there's a great, if you Google this word, look up translingualism, and it talks about all these ideas in another context, which I hadn't thought about until just now. But what I realized is the more I integrate all of these different aspects of my life, whether it be the professional, whether it be writing, teaching, the personal, whether it be as a parent, as a spouse, as a daughter, as a sister, as a community member, whatever those are, what I discovered was the more I embraced and kind of wove those together, tangled though they may be, the more one enriched another and the more whole I felt, as opposed to, I think there's often a real sense of fragmentation that we feel between home and personal and these different aspects of our professional life that we have. So I toss these ideas out to you. I very much look forward to hearing your own thoughts. And here is to those who have the courage to teach.